Good afternoon, Fin fans, and welcome back to another episode of AT Fins News. So now that Mike McDaniel has built his coaching staff for the upcoming 2022 season, in this episode we're going to be looking at the Miami Dolphins' upcoming free agents and see if we should either re-sign them or let them walk in free agency and bring in new talent for the Miami Dolphins in the upcoming season. So without further ado, let's just get right into it, shall we? So in this video, as for me, I'm not going to go over every single free agent and restricted free agent. I'm just going over like the main contributors on our team the last couple years and see what we should do with them. And the one that leads the list, for me at least, is going to be Emmanuel Ogbah. Ever since he's been in Miami, he's been a difference maker. He's helped turn this team around as far as on the defensive side of the ball. Before Jalen Phillips even arrived last year, he was our really only true pass rusher, and he can get after the quarterback, man. He has a motor like no other. And in my opinion, I think that at least we should try to do anything in our or everything in our power to re-sign this guy, just to keep this defense intact and building. Being able to be aggressive because he can get after the quarterback. He led the league in tip passes last year by a far margin. The only thing we're worried about is the money. I mean, so the Dolphins, they're going to be projected to have $75 million in cap space, and that's according to Spot Track. And Emmanuel Ogbah, like his market value, you're looking at like 3 years, a little over $30 million. So that averages about $10.1 million per year. So it's just going to depend on Chris Grier and the Dolphins organization where they see this defense headed, and if they're going to want to pay Ogbah that kind of money, because he's going to be right around that range. And you can even get, because he's an unrestricted free agent, you can even get desperate teams that want to make a statement and even overpay for the man. So that's going to be a tough one for the Dolphins. But in my personal opinion, we have to go out and try to keep Emmanuel Ogbah in any way, shape, or form, because without him, you're going to lose a difference maker on that defensive side of the ball. When you don't really have that many pass rushers, you have Jalen Phillips. He's going to be coming to his own, but you need a guy on the other side of Jalen Phillips, So I'm hoping we can keep Emmanuel Ogbah for at least 3 more years, even if he can take a 2-year deal, but it's probably going to be 3 years, a little over $30 million. So I think the Miami Dolphins have to be excited about trying to re-sign him, but who knows? I mean, they let him get it to free agency, and usually when a player's in free agency, he's going to test the market no matter what. So the Miami Dolphins might even have to overpay for him, but let's see what this organization tries to do in keeping our own players, because in the past we've let players walk, but I think it's time to keep some of our players that deserve contracts. And there's no other than Emmanuel Ogbah on the defensive side of the ball, in my opinion. And then as far as the biggest name on the offense side of the ball that our fan base is completely divided on, it's not the quarterback. It's going to be Mike Gesicki. I mean, there's people on our fan base, if you look in Twitter or the YouTube community, they absolutely love this guy, Mike Gesicki. I'm a fan of Mike Gesicki. I like what he brings to the table. He has a big catch radius. He can make plays for Tua when Tua needs plays to be made. But this is the thing about Mike Gesicki. I don't know if he's going to fit Mike McDaniel's coaching strategy. I mean, he loves his tight ends to be blockers. He loves even our receivers to be blockers. He loves that physical run game, and the way to open up big play runs is for the tight ends to maintain their blocks as well as the wide receivers to maintain their blocks. And with Mike Gesicki, even though he's one of our biggest contributors on offense, I mean, he's projected at a 4-year, $44 million contract. So that's $11 million per year. I just don't know with the cap space that we have and what they're trying to build on the offensive side of the ball. I don't know if the Dolphins are gonna keep Mike Gesicki. To tell you guys the truth, I know it's gonna make a lot of fans upset about it, but he's a one-dimensional player, and to be paying someone $11 million per year to be a tight end when you don't even play in the seam or in line, it's gonna be a tough pill for that organization to swallow, to pay this man $44 million for 4 years, in my opinion. Especially when Mike McDaniel, like I said, wants a physical run game, and Mike Gesicki, his biggest weakness is blocking. Everyone in this fan base jokes about how he can't block, or he's not a willing blocker. He just likes those flashy plays, and that's another reason why I'm kind of reserved on Mike Gesicki of the Dolphins keeping him is because we also got Durham Smythe that's an unrestricted free agent, and he's been to a safety blanket, security blanket last year. He came into a zone. He started making more plays in the passing game, but he's a great run blocker. He's an inline tight end. We also have Hunter Long that we drafted last year, and he came on later in the year, and he was injured at the beginning of the year, if you guys don't remember. We didn't even think we were going to see any Hunter Long last year, but he toughed it out, and I think he's only going to grow in this offense, and Mike McDaniel and Embry are really going to like Hunter Long, in my opinion. So I don't know about Mike Gesicki. I mean, I know the fan base is torn on him. For me, I like his big playability. I like his for sure hands, but for his value on the market, he might even get more than 11 per year. I'm kind of at the point it's a tough decision, but I'm probably going to have to let Mike Gesicki walk if we're going to be paying him 11, 12, 13 million per year, even more maybe. So with the $75 million in projected cap space this year and the holes that we need to fill, and we can keep Durham Smythe, we can get him for 3-4 years for about $2 million per year. And even though Mike Gesicki's that big playability that we all like, just to be a one-dimensional player and getting paid that much, he's probably gonna he's definitely gonna test the market. He's probably gonna get a big contract somewhere else, and we're not gonna match. So expect maybe Mike Gesicki not to be here, even though it's gonna hurt Dolphin fans. I mean, it's gonna hurt me it's gonna hurt me if we don't go out and get another playmaker to replace Gesicki. But I personally would not pay 11, 12, 13 million per year for Mike Gesicki when he's a one-dimensional tight end. But especially, like I said, when we have Durham Smythe that we can re-sign for a lot cheaper. Still got the Hunter Long. I mean, we have a lot of tight ends on this roster, and we don't need to pay one guy 11, 12, 13 per year when we have about 3 or 4 tight ends we have on this team, and we can keep Durham Smythe as well. As far as a player on defense that I do not want to lose, and he's actually a restricted free agent this year, is Nick Needham. I mean, ever since Chris Greer and Brian Flores found him in that tank year, they call it, he's been a playmaker, man. Even Flores had a little nickname for him, Superstar. I mean, he's a really good find for the Miami Dolphins, and he's another one of those homegrown players. He is a restrictor free agent, but I think he is vital as far as our secondary goes to keep him. And I think we got to do everything in our power for this organization to re-sign him, or because he is restricted, so any other team can offer him a contract, and we have the right to match that contract so he can stay with us. So I think we have to go out and get him and sign him up to a long-term contract. He's improved each and every year. He has gotten better. He's fearless, man. He doesn't care if he got beat one play. He's going to come right after the receiver the next play. He's multifaceted. He can play inside. He can play outside, we've seen. So, yes, we definitely need to keep him. I know his salary is going to be rocketed up there, but I mean, we can keep him. But there's definitely going to be people out there trying to request his services at the cornerback position. So we're going to have to match an offer from any team that gives him an offer. But I'm looking for the Miami Dolphins to do so, because anything to kind of keep this defense intact and build on that, I think we need to do, just because our defense is the strong part of our team right now. I know Mike McDaniel's in here, and hopefully the offense becomes a really great offense that we haven't seen in 20-plus years in the Miami Dolphins team. But as of right now, Nick Needham, I think he's irreplaceable. I mean, we can replace like a Justin Coleman. I know he's an unrestricted free agent. We can probably get him on another 1 year, like $2.7 million contract. But I definitely but if we had to pick between one or the other, Even though Nick Needham's going to be a little more expensive, I'm going with Nick Needham all day over Justin Coleman. We can always draft a corner in this draft. It's kind of deep at cornerback this year. And we'll get more into that later on in the offseason. But I definitely would be keeping Nick Needham. Anything I can do, I'll match an offer from any team willing to get Nick Needham because it's not going to be an outrageous offer, but he's definitely going to get a healthy size pay raise from what he was getting when he barely signed on the team as a practice squad, then got elevated. As far as another guy on the defense side of the ball, and I don't think he's going to end up staying a Miami Dolphin, is Leonard Roberts, our linebacker. I just think the way this team is built, they're probably going to let Leonard Roberts walk and see what he can get in the free agent market. I think we're going to end up drafting a linebacker to replace Leonard Roberts, and I mean, he did what we needed him to do for the 2 years he was here. He was pretty decent at run stopping. He had some letdowns on certain plays, but he was a good linebacker for what we paid him. I mean, if he wants to stay on for like a 1 year, $1.5 million, maybe they'll entertain keeping him. But anything higher than that, I think they're just going to let him walk, and they're going to take their chances in the draft. I believe they're going to look to upgrade that position either in free agency or the draft, but I'm looking more so as the draft for that. In free agency, I mean, you know what we'll get. That's a different video and a different time, but we definitely going to need some linemen to replace some linemen we had this year. So that's what I'm hoping to spend on free agency. But as far as Leonard Roberts, yeah, I think they're gonna let him walk unless he takes some bargain deal about $1.5 million for a year. And then we look down the list, like Justin Coleman, like I just reiterated with Nick Needham. I'll do anything and everything to sign Nick Needham or re-sign him. Justin Coleman, man, I mean, unless he wants to do another 1 year deal like he did last year, he's probably going to end up walking if he wants anything more than about 2.7 million from us. And it's not going to be a long-term contract, but if he wants to stay for another year, then I would take him around 2.7 million. He at the beginning of the year he really struggled, and we couldn't believe how bad he was because he was a really good, one of the best nickel corners actually in the league for the last 3 to 4 years, and he kind of like fell off at the beginning of the year. But once he got this system down, he was a really good cornerback for us, and he made plays later in the year. So if he wants to re-sign for another year, all power to him for about 2.5, 2.7. If not, he'll probably walk and they'll draft a corner or get a corner in free agency because they're going to have to reestablish this corner room because Byron Jones and Xavier Howard are getting older and we don't even know what's going to happen with X. So we'll see what happens with that, man. As far as our receivers go, we have about 3 receivers, man, that are kind of, we don't know what's going to happen. The first one, Albert Wilson. He's an unrestricted free agent. He just didn't have the kind of offense that we all thought he was with Tua, right? I mean, we thought there was going to be big playabilities with Albert Wilson, his playmaking. He was before, because, last year he didn't play due to COVID, but the year prior, I mean, he was really good, so it was kind of a shock to see Wilson kind of take a step back. And with us, we know we're going to bring in some wide receivers in free agency or in the draft. Lynn Bowden Jr. is coming back this year. I just don't see Mike McDaniel and this staff really entertaining keeping Albert Wilson. I think they're going to end up letting him walk in free agency and see what team signs him. And, I mean, all the best for him in his future. I mean, I thought he was a playmaker when he first got here, and then he got injured, then COVID hit. So, I mean, it's just kind of a shame to see, but hopefully he has better luck on another team. As far as Preston Williams goes, I mean, I think it's either he's a restricted free agent, so he's not unrestricted. But as far as me, I'd probably I would cut him at this point or let him walk if some team offers him anything. He's always injured. And it's sad too because Preston Williams is a talented young wide receiver, but he can never stay healthy. He's always injured, and the best ability is availability. And he's never available, man. I mean, I think they need to cut ties with them now. Like I said, they are going to probably end up drafting a receiver or two, getting a receiver in free agency. So I think it's time for Preston Williams to just cut their losses, man, and bring someone in here that can be reliable, especially with the young quarterback. We gotta keep players in there so he can build that rapport. And if he can, the sad thing is with Preston Williams is him and Tua had something going into his rookie year, and he got hurt, and he's really never seen the field since. Consistently anyway, and he hasn't made any plays. I think it's just time, guys, to let him walk, which sucks because he has a good. He's a great route runner. He's pretty physical. He has the size, but just never healthy, man. The one that I think is we definitely should re-sign just because he plays multiple positions is Matt Collins. Even though he's not on the field all the time on the offense. Whenever given the opportunity, he made plays this year. He's not going to be too expensive, and he's also our best gunner on special teams. You got to put that in consideration. He's one of our best special team players, and he makes plays when given the opportunity. He's real physical. He's big. He can beat press off the line of scrimmage, especially when the DBs are cheating up. Cheating for that small passing game, he can beat someone over the top because they're on press coverage, like we've seen him do against the Saints. And he's going to probably be maybe about $1.5 million per year. Maybe keep him for about 2 years at $1.5 million per year. Not a big hit, but he can make some big plays in the passing game as well as in the special teams area. So I think he's a must keep as far as one of our wide receivers that are in the free agent market. And then we still got to deal with what we're going to do with Devontae Parker. There is word on the street that he's getting he's like on the trading block, so we'll see if we're going to lose him. But like Albert Wilson, Preston Williams, they're probably going to be gone. We still got we're going to have, if we re-sign Matt Collins, we got Jalen Waddle, Devontae Parker unless we trade him. And then we're going to bring in a couple wide receivers. So we're going to be set there. But I really think the Dolphins should invest in Matt Collins, give him maybe a 2 to 3 year contract at $1.5 million per year and see what they have. See what Mike McDaniel can build on from him, because he can beat man-to-man coverage. We've seen it when he's given the opportunity. And the last player we'll be talking about today would be John Jenkins. I mean, John Jenkins this year, he's our defensive tackle. He's a rotational player, but man, he played some big plays for us, and he was a bargain deal. He only made about $1 million last year. He was on a 1-year deal. So I think if he's willing to sign another 1-year deal, maybe at max 2 years because of age, he's getting up there. He's like 32, 33. Maybe a 1 year to 2 year deal at like $1.2 million per year, and he signs up for that. I'm all for it. He's a good run stopper. He's a good rotational piece for like Christian Wilkins and Raekwon Davis. They can just rotate them in so they can stay fresh, and he'll be a good piece to keep if we're able to keep him, guys. But other than that, man, that concludes the list of our upcoming free agents, like our main contributors, in my opinion, for the upcoming season. So we do have some big names there. We'll see what happens with, like I said, Emmanuel Ogbah and Mike Gesicki are probably like the highlighted two on defense and the offense side of the ball. But we'll see. I had projected them keeping Ogbah, hopefully, but maybe letting Gesicki walk. But, I mean, we just it's a wait-and-see game here. Maybe they keep both, hopefully. I mean, Mike Gesicki is a playmaker, but just for his value or where he's at, it's going to be tough, I think, for the Dolphins to fork out that kind of money for a guy that really doesn't block and he doesn't play inline tight end. He's pretty much like a slot receiver, you know? So, but we'll see, guys. But other than that, man, I appreciate each and every one of you for watching this stream. Thanks for each and every one of you for the support. If you guys can please hit that like button. And if you guys are new to the channel, if you guys can please hit that subscribe button just so we can help grow this channel organically. We're going to have, in one of the videos coming up, we'll be talking about free agency when it's getting closer, as well as what players that the Dolphins are leaning on cutting to save even more cap space for players in free agency. So be looking out for those videos. But yeah, man, if you guys can please hit that subscribe button, I greatly appreciate it. And other than that, guys, I'll be on sometime later this week unless anything else breaks. All right, guys. Other than that, fins up. I love each and every one of y'all. I'm out. Peace.